Welcome back to the 99, where we are focused on brewing a better competitive Commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlette, and today is part 2 of our set overview of the Commander 2020 precons, which have been completely spoiled. So we'll be touching predominantly on those cards. I'll actually jump back and touch on a few of the Ikoria cards we discussed in our part 1 video, things to avoid right now, as well as things to potentially pick up. And on that note, gang, if you want to hook us up in an indirect fashion, the best way to do so is to purchase all of your pre-orders through the link in the description via TCG Player. They are our partners and one of the best online resources for packs, singles, and more. Even if you're not an MTG fan, you're watching this and you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, pick up your Yu-Gi-Oh cards there. The best way to do it is through the link in the description. These will be helping us out, so thank you for doing so. And if you want to hook us up directly, you can do so via Patreon. All of the information regarding Patreon is in the link down in the description. And as you guys know, I will be doing a shout out listing off everyone's name currently in our Patreon up until we hit 99 patrons. So thank you guys so much for hooking us up, helping us out. But first and foremost, if you are in an industry affected by COVID-19, don't even think about it. Worry about yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbors. Take care of them first and you foremost before being concerned about the channel. However, if you do decide to be a patron, thank you guys so much. But before we get into this video, I want to do a major shout out to our Discordians, our Discord members. On that note, if you're not a member of the Discord, you can join via the link in the description, as well as our Twitter and Instagram. But for the most direct line of communication with us, Discord is the best. Of course, if you're a Patreon member, you guys know that. There's a channel to directly speak with us over there if you are on our Patreon. But I issued a challenge to our Discordians once Luris of the Dream Den was announced. And if you don't know who this guy is, I'll just let you know who he is now. For those listening, it should be on the screen, but for those listening, one generic and Orzhov, legendary creature, cat nightmare. So 3 CMC total, 3/2 body, companion. Each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less, has lifelink, and during each of your turns, you may cast one permanent spell with converted mana cost of 2 or less from your graveyard. So unlike Kess, they don't get exiled. So there's some combo potential there. I saw that and issued the challenge. Can you make a deck that utilizes Luris as part of a 3 to 4 card combo as a companion? So the team, multiple people worked on this, but the team came up with an Ailey Eternal Pilgrim list, a better Ailey Eternal Pilgrim if I've ever seen one, utilizing Luris of the Dream Den in the companion slot, companion zone, sideboard, somewhere. He's just floating around. So with that challenge, they weren't able to make it to 4 cards, and it's a shame. I was working along with them for a few, and it was difficult. I don't blame them, but we got really damn close to making the dream come true, and I still think this deck was a success. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it in the comment section. Guys, if you want to check this list out, the Lucid Luris list, Nathan went along and sent it over to me. He compiled the list of everyone's thoughts, but I do want to thank the teams that made it, the team of people that made it. Gabe, Hi Dan, Drazidus, Bill, there's more folks here, but the discussion and the deck construction lasted for multiple hours, so everyone that stuck with it, trying to make a better Ailey Eternal Pilgrim, thank you guys so much. Of course, if you guys can think of a separate list that would function this way, I don't think a different commander would work outside of, I don't think there's any partners you could use. It was really between Ailey and one other guy. Tace's dad? Karlov? I forget the other Orzhov commander, but Ailey was certainly the right choice, I think, and the list itself came out really well. So go ahead and check that out. They put a lot of time into it, and thank you guys for working on that. I'm excited to issue more challenges with new combo cards or potential combo cards that come out. You guys are the greatest. But to piggyback on last week's video, you might have noticed after our discussion on Luminous Broodmoth, I had come up with an amazing combo utilizing Swooping Talon. Okay, so I don't think anything's won up that quite yet, but some folks did mention, I say some folks, there's like 150 comments on that video, and 90 of them are just people parroting Solemnity. Solemnity and Luminous Broodmoth. I heard it the first time, guys, okay? I heard you. So the news broke out that Solemnity was the bee's knees or the moth's knees in this scenario because for 2 generic and 1 white enchantment, players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So with Luminous Broodmoth and Solemnity, you have what is essentially a 2-card combo. Mind you, you also need a creature and you also need a sack outlet. And if that sack outlet isn't an actual win con, if it isn't a payoff, something like, I don't know, your, not grinding station, blasting station. Okay, so blasting station, that just kills people. If it's not one of those things, you'll need some form of payoff, right? So it's technically a 4 to 5 card combo, what we were trying to do with Lurrus. I only bring this up because, well, yes, it's very cool. Luminous Broodmoth is not a legendary, so you're never going to get Luminous Broodmoth out that easy. Secondly, the price on Solemnity has more than tripled in most all cases since this combo piece was announced. People are spec buying Solemnity as they were Fluctuator. I'm sorry. For anyone who purchased Fluctuator for an inflated price, don't be a member of the hype train committee, the hype Broodmoth committee that is going in hard on Solemnity. Don't do this. I think you can wait. I think it's going to pan out. The combo isn't that viable because unless, when you're dealing with 3-card combos, unless your commander is part of that combo or your commander helps to grab pieces of that combo via tutoring and or just massive drawing, this is not a great combo to shoot for. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think you should personally be buying this card for $7 or any more than that. If you can find it for 5 and under and you really want to run the Luminous Broodmoth combo, go ahead, but don't get too hyped. I think what was a better suggestion was Undying as a functional way to stack the triggers of Luminous Broodmoth and combo off that way instead. Undying or, what's the other one? Not Undying. Persist! Jeez, Persist. The combo I always try for in our Power Cube and fail at. Like 50-50. Sometimes the deck wins, but yes, Persist. There's other things you can do with Luminous Broodmoth. Gang, if you want to shoot for it, shoot for the stars. Use Solemnity, okay? But I don't think it's that great. Although I do think, we spoke about Drannith Magistrate. My prediction is that it would get banned because you know what? If not now, further on down the road, because someone's going to complain that it's too oppressive. Trust me. However, since it's not banned and everyone's loving on it, I mean, they are pre-orders are sold out pretty much everywhere I looked last. Maybe there's a new batch of pre-orders up. But if you don't remember Drannith Magistrate, he's on the screen now. 1 generic, 1 white, 1/3 body. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. I just want to, I forgot to mention this in our part 1 video. I just want to leave you with a thought. The thought of Possibility Storm. 3 generic, 2 red, enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it, then exiles the card from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then he or she puts all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of his or her library in a random order. I'll just leave you with that. Not gonna say anything else. Drannith Magistrate, Possibility Storm. Really meant to say that in our first video. Another reason why I think the dude is just bonkers. Also, there's another combo with him in Knowledge Pool, I think. I'll leave it for the Lavinia players to include you guys in the comment section on that. But yes, that is an awesome combo. Now, that's all I want to do so far as touching on Ikoria is concerned. Those 2 combo cards we spoke about. There's more to them than meets the eye, definitely. Let me know if you're brewing around or for any of those creatures I mentioned. But we're going to talk about Commander 2020 now. And I have the list in front of me. I'm actually over on magic.wizards.com because I have the complete list of cards here. And I'm going to go through in the categories they've mentioned. So white, blue, black, red, green, and colorless. We don't really have any lands or multicolored cards to talk about other than, I guess, Shark Boy, who's not technically multicolored. However, to start us off, before we jump into the color pie here and of course discuss what is likely the thumbnail of this video, I want to begin with two colorless cards that are combo pieces that are newly arrived from the Commander 2020 precons. But to get us in the right frame of mind, let's just begin with Kirkesh. Let's just imagine we're all playing Kirkesh. He's tier 0. We all want to play him on the competitive scene. I'm only bringing him up because he enables this combo in such a way that's simple to set up. But 2 generic, 2 red for Kirkesh, legendary creature Ogre Spirit, 4/3 body. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. Okay. Can you think of what I'm about to reference here? Yes, it's, if you guessed Manascape Refractor, then yes, you're correct. It's 3 generic artifact. Manascape Refractor enters the battlefield tapped. It's 3 CMC. I don't understand why they added that clause. It would have just been an okay rock, a really good rock. I'm sorry. Manascape Refractor has all activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. Activated abilities also include mana abilities, in case you're wondering. Lands are activated abilities. They just happen to be mana abilities. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to pay the activation costs of Manascape Refractor's abilities. So anything beyond a mana ability, or even mana abilities with cost, which is actually a combo piece for this particular combo line. So there's 4 cards here. The third one I'll mention is Voltaic Key. 1 generic artifact, pay 1, tap, untap target artifact. Okay, how do we get this to work all together? What if we have Nykthos Shrine to Nyx? So legendary land, tap it to add 1 generic, or pay 2, tap it, choose a color, add to your mana pool an amount of mana equal to your devotion in that color. Hear me out, okay? It's a 4-card combo, one of the pieces in the command zone. The other ones are relatively easy to hit in mono red, but I mean, you can have them destroyed and bring them back with Trash for Treasure or some nonsense if you're really working on this. But what's really cool about this is it utilizes lands to enact the combo. So you begin by tapping Voltaic Key to untap Manascape Refractor. So you'll need at least 2 mana to get the ball rolling on this, 4 to tap Nykthos Shrine to Nyx Manascape Refractor. So you're going to untap target artifact being Manascape Refractor. You're going to pay 1 red from Kirkesh to also copy and untap Voltaic Key. So they both weren't untapped now. Great, now we can utilize Manascape Refractor. So we're going to go ahead and activate it for 2 generic, and we'll need at least 5 red on the battlefield. Your devotion needs to be 5, so beyond Kirkesh. We're really reaching here, but it is a combo, I promise. When you tap Manascape Refractor for 5 mana, you get 5 red mana. We'll spend 1 of those red to use the Voltaic Key on the Manascape Refractor. We're going to spend another red to copy that ability and untap Manascape Refractor as well as Voltaic Key. And as you can see, I have 3 fingers held up here. It only takes 1 to use, rather 2 to use our Nykthos Shrine to Nyx Manascape Refractor, and bam, bam, you've just made infinite red mana. Is this viable? I don't know, but what's great about it, and just another thought exercise, what's great about it is we do have another piece that enables combos. It's almost like Necrotic Ooze in the sense that we get all activated abilities of a certain type of card or card in a certain zone with Necrotic Ooze. It's everything in your graveyard, and obviously in this instance, we're getting all of our lands. So be thankful, okay? You got another combo card. Is Kirkesh the best commander for this? I don't know. Some people like playing Kirkesh though, and there are other infinite combos with him that are easier to set up. So this is just another one that you can fool with if you have a slot for it in your list. Next up, we have a far more practical combo with a commander I really love playing. It's actually a list I've been developing ever since Underworld Breach was announced. I've been developing a strategy called Hermit Breaching that uses the wonderful elemental beast Marath, Will of the Wild. He or she is red, green, white, so Naya. Legendary creature, 0/0 body. Oh, so weak. Why would you ever want to use this? Marath, Will of the Wild enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent. Oh, okay. Cool. Spent to cast it. Should clarify. X, remove X +1/+1 counters from Marath. Choose one. You have a modal ability. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature, or Marath deals X damage to target creature or player. That sounds like something I want to do. Or put an XX green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. So the creature could be however big, depending on how much X you pay. The card that just came out, that I'd been secretly waiting for, and I had no idea would come in this form, is Cryptic Trilobite. Oh, what a weird ass card. XX for a creature Trilobite, 0/0. Oh, just like Marath. They must be kin. Cryptic Trilobite enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. So if you spend 2 mana, X is 1, so on and so forth. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Cryptic Trilobite. Anytime you read an ability that says that, you know there's a combo. Add 2 generic mana. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. Ah, damn. All right, so I'm not going to be able to leverage that too much. But wait. Generic, tap, put a +1/+1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. That's just icing on the cake. We might actually go for that if it comes down to it. But for the most part, we're going to make Cryptic Trilobite in this combo line +1/+1. So we're just going to spend 2 mana on it. The third and final combo piece we need is Hardened Scale. So Hardened Scales is a green for an enchantment. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1 counters ++1 +1/+1s? That many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on it instead. That's really fun to say out loud. I've never said that ability out loud, my lord. Okay, so here's how the combo works. Let's just say that Marath Will of the Wild, it came out on the battlefield, and it's the first time she was ever cast. So she's a 3/3. 3/3 +1/+1 counters. I'm just gonna say +1s. Cryptic Trilobite is on the field, it's +1. Okay, so we've got a 3 over here and we got a 1 over here. Spend 1 mana, remove 1 of the 3 from Marath, add it to Cryptic Trilobite, but Cryptic Trilobite gets 2 instead. Now we're going to remove 1 of those +1/+1s to add 2 generic mana to our battlefield, right? It's in our mana pool. We're going to go ahead and remove another counter from Marath. Oh, she's almost dead. Blam! We'll add 2 +1/+1 counters to her this time because she can actually target herself with this ability. Now, mind you, we've only spent 1 mana to start this whole line off. We have 1 generic mana left from Cryptic Trilobite's ability. Let's use that last mana to take 1 away from Marath, add 2 to Cryptic Trilobite. You notice something here? We're going 1 up every single time we do this. So what we're able to do is generate infinite generic mana that can be spent on activated abilities. And who has an activated ability that deals damage to target creature or player? Marath Will of the Wild. This combo utilizes a spell that costs 1 green and another spell that costs 2 of any color. One of them is easily tutored for, the other is an enchantment. So in my particular list, we have 2 ways to find it. They're both Enlightened Tutor and Sterling Grove. So they're both excellent ways to pick up this enchantment. I might even add that third enchantment, that shitty one, the 3, 2 generic, 1 white. I forget the name of it. It's not good. I usually recommend you don't use it, but only because this is so easy to set up. Hell yeah, maybe we do. So yeah, Cryptic Trilobite kind of broke Marath in a great way. Hardened Scales is a card you should be running in Marath anyways, just strictly for value to keep Marath on the field for as long as you like, because Marath's ability can be used at instant speed. So at any moment you need to just pump Marath up, you can do so while you have mana left over at the end of your opponent's turn. Excellent combo, excellent card, easy include in Marath Will of the Wild. Of course, if you know of any other combos, I heard a few, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, but this is the first one I thought about when I heard about this. Someone mentioned in the Discord was thinking Marath too. I'm like, this is brilliant. I love that this card was printed. So go ahead, play with that. If you're running a Marath list, use it there. Now, to go over the cards as listed on Magic's site, of course, there's a link in the description if you want to follow along. We're only going to talk about 2 cards from White. White got some really good cards, by the way. Both from Ikoria and Commander Precon. I think both of these are really really decent. The free one is not as good as I would like, but Flawless Maneuver. 2 generic, 1 white for an instant speed spell. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. So it's almost like something from the pitch spell cycle, except you don't need to exile or remove a card from your hand to get the spell for free. You just need to have your commander. Super commander centric. It's like it's a commander pitch spell, essentially. You just need to meet that one requirement. Creatures you control gain indestructible until the end of turn. So it's like, it's decent protection. If you find yourself needing protection in your list, the list has your commander out more than 50% of the time. This is a good way to protect your commander if you expect to be damaged or destroyed in some fashion. Usually that's how creatures are eliminated, if not by en masse Toxic Deluge in a competitive field, and or some sort of exile mechanic, or just bounce in general. This is likely going to hit the mark in most situations. What I do wish is that Flawless Maneuver, it's essentially a worse heroic intervention, right? So that's a generic and a green for a spell that gives your permanence hexproof and indestructible. I'm just recalling that from memory. Correct me if I'm wrong. It should be on the screen though. It's essentially a worse heroic intervention. However, it's okay. There have been cards in the past that work on both levels. They'll protect artifacts and creatures. It would have been nice if this said creatures and artifacts you control gain indestructible. Then it would be very well versed and still less than heroic at its 2 CMC, and at 3 for instant speed spell, it would still be valuable. You get where I'm going here? I think they could have pushed this more. It is a rare for the precon, so if you need it, you'll know you need it. You should play it. It's still decent. I'd say it's third on the rank of the free spells. It's really a toss-up between this and the black free spell, which we'll talk about. But yeah, Flawless Maneuver. It's okay. The next card, though, Sorcery Speed. Wish this was instant speed. It would be stupid instant speed. Although it can function at instant speed. Dismantling Wave. Dismantling Wave. And this comes with the best free spell, I believe. The precon this one comes with is the best free spell. 2 generic, 1 white for a sorcery speed spell. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So it's like Grasp of Fate, but not an enchantment. Doesn't exile any permanent. And they get their permanence back, however, if Grasp of Fate goes away. So this is almost like a permanent form of removal by way of Grasp of Fate. However, if you're having issues with creature hate bears, you're going to want to probably stick with Grasp of Fate. It's a tough one to slot in. I'm looking at it for a few of my white lists. You know, I love white cards here. If you've watched this channel at all, you know I like white cards. However, it still has more to it. Cycling 6 and 2 white, you can discard this card to draw a card, right? You can do that instant speed. So functionally, you can do this at instant speed. You can draw a card. If you cycle this card, when you cycle Dismantling Wave, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. I'm gonna say 90% of the time you're gonna cast this at sorcery speed and do the general effect. If your list is functioning for cycle effects, if you're playing for cycle, you'll probably have some way to reduce its cost, make it more practical to do this effect at cycling speed, and just destroy everything. This is really brilliant if you get there. It's extremely good mid to late game to just put everyone back, especially if your list doesn't rely heavily on artifacts or enchantments, and or you have some way to recur them. Ergo Teshar. In case you're wondering, this is a prime suspect for a list like that. It's really good. It gets rid of a lot of hate pieces in the both artifact and enchantment range. And again, it'll just hit value pieces that are artifacts and enchantments if that opponent isn't running any sort of hate bear or hate piece rather against you. Excellent white spell. Certainly something that you should consider if you're picking up singles. Now the next card I want to talk about is Fierce Guardianship. Let's just go ahead and read it off. And we actually guessed at what this ability would be. We were all secretly hoping it wouldn't be, but that's what it is. It's negate, but for free. 2 generic, 1 blue, instant speed. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. It's not contingent on whether that commander is of a certain color, you just need to have your commander out. Partners, Najila, there's just a few commanders that are extremely powerful that are really going to love this card. Counter target non-creature spell. You heard me mentioning pitch spells earlier. Let's just go ahead and take a look at free cycle spells over the last few years. The cycle of free spells, rather, that have just occurred over the last few years. You've likely never heard of any of the other ones from Alliance, but you've probably heard of Force of Will. Mind you, all of these pitch spells were printed for sets that were released for all other formats. This is the first time they were printing a free spell that was specific to a commander set. I think that's what makes this occasion unique. But of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets to receive a pitch spell, a free spell, Alliances was a counter, Mercadian Mask, arguably a counter, but a redirect. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's what Red received in this very set. Foil from Prophecy, a counter. Betrayers of Kamigawa, Disrupting Shoal, a counter. Cold Snap, it's the only one that's really not a counter, but it works off of Blue's identity, and I like they tried it. Commandeer. So basically you gain control of a non-creature spell. You may choose new targets for it. So it definitely within Blue's color identity. And the last one was from Modern Horizons. We all remember this one well. Force of Negation, counterspell. So if you're including Misdirect, it's probably going to be used as a counter. 5 of the last 6 pitch spells were counters. Okay. Did we need another free spell? My issue here is that, not that it's a bad card, as a matter of fact, it's the best free spell to come from these commander precons. And mind you, these precons are set to be opened up, played by new players, a much more casual setting. However, for people that have been playing a long period of time, or those of us in the competitive commander community, or those of us that just have been playing commander for a long enough time, we know that free spells are the most valuable ones. They're the ones, Pact of Negation's $20, Force of Will, Lord knows how much, Force of Negation, also very expensive. They're very expensive cards, so obviously the value of this set with the popularity of Commander, this particular precon is going to go up. Without a doubt. In my opinion, this is probably going to be the most expensive precon because everyone's going to want Fierce Guardianship. My issue with it is that it was very lazy card design. You could not think of another free spell that worked within Blue's color identity that wasn't a counter. You couldn't think, how about Frantic Search? Because you would want to play a 4 CMC, that's 3 generic, 1 blue, instead of 2 generic, 1 blue Frantic Search. Let's just read Frantic Search. Instant speed, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands. I think if I were picking up this set and I had that ability, I would be baffled. I would really enjoy that as a casual coming into the commander community. I'd say that's a really good card. Not everyone would be jonesing for it, but hell, I would definitely, as a player who's been playing for a long time, want a spell that was Frantic Search that I could cast for free in Commander. That's excellent. And it's also within Blue's color identity, digging through our list, finding value. Or how about a bounce effect? What if we did Into the Royal with Kicker, right? Let's just say it was, again, 3 CMC and 1 blue for the free variant of this. And Into the Royal is 1 generic, 1 blue. Kicker, 1 generic, 1 blue. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand if this spell was kicked to draw a card. Still also really good. Perfectly fit within Blue's color identity. It would have been a really smart design. Instead, for the 6th time, we get a counterspell. You know why we get a counterspell? It's because they know it will sell. Both casuals and competitive players, anyone looking at this precon is going to say, oh, I probably need to buy that. If not the whole bundle, they're going to buy the single. I just hate lazy deck design, lazy card design, I should say. And I hate that they couldn't come up with something that was in Blue's identity other than a counterspell. It's just obnoxious the amount of free counterspells that are coming out, especially in such close proximity to each other as well. They literally just did Force of Negation. Did we need another free counterspell? That's the real question. And you can, refute my points. We can have a discussion in the comment section down below. Do you think this was brilliant card design? Do you think that having another free counterspell was a genius idea? Let me know if it tickles your fancy. But let's just state, it is the best free spell from the cycle of these precons. Fierce Guardianship is hands down the best free spell of these cards. It's certainly not the green one, and certainly not the maneuver that we just talked about. It is in every scenario a very good card. Negate, hyper playable. This spell, super playable, especially because unlike pitches, you don't have to exile a card from your hand. Wow. Anyways, there's my rant for the day. I'm not all too happy about seeing another free counterspell. It's just another thing I got to think about when I'm looking at my players' tapped mana base. I guess I'll go in and kill their commander first before I try to combo out now. It's beyond me. Anyways, let me know in the comment section if you're fed up with free counterspells. Tidal Barracuda. I'm only bringing this up because it's interesting that blue received an effect that has been exclusive to both green, City of Solitude, Docent of the Falling Leaf, as well as white. Although white is obviously the best form of it with Silence and Grand Abolisher. But Tidal Barracuda. 3 generic, 1 blue for a creature fish, 3/4 body. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. What? Why am I doing that? Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. That's the important part. If this is an omen of things to come, Narset Parter of Veils got Spirit of the Labyrinth's ability, right? So blue got a white ability, blue gets a green ability. It's muddying the identity of the color pie. And while I think it's great that blue gets this effect, I don't understand why it's happening. I thought we were trying to keep these things tightly roped off, like what the identity of a color means to that color and its effect on the board, how it should perform. No one's going to play Tidal Barracuda. Let's start there. But if this is a sign of things to come, it's not a good one. However, interesting effect. If the body had flash, it would be amazing. Obviously, it would be a great setup piece. It's very good that they didn't give it flash. Then it would actually be very playable. But as it stands, it's just another Docent of the Falling Leaf, except it's single-sided. Docent essentially reads the same way, but it's symmetrical. You can't play on opponents' turns. However, your opponents can cast spells during your turn. So it is single-sided for 4. So there is that. You're not going to want to give people flash. Trust me. Here's the one that tied with the maneuver we just spoke on. This is the other free spell that came out from this precon, Deadly Rollick. They broke the color pie once again. This has been historically an Orzavian ability. 3 generic, 1 black, instant speed. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. For 4 mana, obviously this is not great for 4 mana. You should likely have a commander at the forefront of your list that's going to be on the field always. Tymna. Yeah. Okay, so you have the commander. Now you have exile target creature. That's what white does, man. Like Isolate, you exile permanents. Swords to Plowshare, you exile creatures. Path to Exile. Yeah, what are we doing here, guys? Again, I don't understand why we're mixing effects between colors. I can't think of another black card that straight up says exile target creature. There's certainly black like Cremate. There's certainly things that exile cards from graveyards. Black does that. They're really great at removing cards from graveyards, spot removing. This is new. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Black's ever seen this, and it's very odd to see it. So, why? What are we doing? It's weird. Commander Precon 2020, not my favorite so far. The red free spell, though, it's not my favorite from a design standpoint. Let me get that straight. I feel like I'm carrying on my argument from earlier, but I don't understand what they did with the deck designs and specifically the singular card designs from the set. They're breaking a lot of the color pie rules and being extremely lazy with the effects they're granting here. However, we've seen this before. Shunt, Ricochet Trap. We've seen many redirect effects in red. And here's another one. We have Deflecting Swat. Deflecting Slot, so to round it all off, I'm not going to be talking about the green one. 2 generic, 1 red, instant speed. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Cool. So TNT won't get this one, but everyone else, you may choose new targets for target spell or ability. Deflecting Swat is really good. A lot of you were asking me if I was going to be playing it in Heb. In all of my red-centric list, Marath would definitely use this as well. Really good, specifically because it redirects the effects of abilities as well. So it has multi-utility in that sense, multi-faceted effect in that sense. Plenty more you can do with this than just redirecting spells. I really love this one. Of course, it's going to be very good at stopping a counter in its tracks. You can redirect, your opponent's Guardianship or whatever that card is called. You can redirect their free counter spell to the Deflecting Swat, right? There you go. So you do have some form of countermeasure, but you can redirect anything that is targeting anything. It's brilliant. I really do like Deflecting Swat. It's certainly a must-buy card. I'm probably going to buy a couple of copies of these. I do play a lot of red list. Despite its deficiencies, I do enjoy playing red, and Deflecting Swat is a must in all of my red list. Now, before I round off the end of this video with our final card, I do want to mention that I'm recording this as of April 7th. So the night of April 6th leading into the 7th. So if I missed any combo cards, value cards, or even just previous cards that were announced that you think are of value or should be discussed or are amazing combo pieces, let me know in the comment section down below. Yes, I know about Shark Boy. Yes, I'm curious of the Curiosity build. It's been talked about to death, so I figured I would leave that one out of this. However, I will mention Shark Boy in the full-on reviews. The last card, however, I want to talk about is Red's answer to Waste Not. Red's answer to Smothering Tithe. Surly Badgersaur. 3 generic, 1 red. I love the cards that are coming from this whole block. I'm going to call it a block. But it's a creature badger dinosaur. 3/3. Whenever you discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Surly Badgersaur. Okay, gets bigger. It's cool. Whenever you discard a land card, create a treasure token. Okay. So, treasure. Unlike gold, you do have to tap treasure, sacrifice it, and you can add 1 mana of any color. Cool, cool, cool. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaur fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So every time you Frantic Search, you get to slay something and potentially make treasures and or potentially just buff this guy with whatever you're discarding. This is a really awesome effect, particularly if you run a lot of wheels in your list. If you're doing mass discard in any fashion, perhaps you're running Neheb Dreadhorde Champion, this is a great way to make mana off of your draws, to get value off of your draws. And if you've ever played Neheb Dreadhorde Champion, you know that sometimes you're going to hit a roadblock with just too many creatures or too many potential blockers. This guy will free up the board for you. I'm going to be testing this in that mono red list. If you can think of another list that you'll be playing this in, let me know. Maybe like Opus Thief or any real mass discard list is probably going to enjoy this guy to some extent. The fact that it generates treasure tokens off of discarding lands is a huge thing. So, of course, it only operates off of your discards, but again, in red, there's so many rummage effects, there's so many ways to get value out of this guy that it's certainly worth a mention. 4 CMC does feel a little high, but you know, you had to tap that mana vault for something. I really like Surly Badgersaur. Let me know if you're going to be playing it. Again, let me know about any other cards that I failed to mention in this video. Do you think that Blue's free spell was genius deck design, genius card construction? Did it make sense to give Blue another free counter spell? Maybe. But what would you have rather seen if not a counter? Would you have dug a Frantic Search? Would you have dug a Kicked into the Royal? Any other value piece that was in Blue's color identity? Or do you think it's completely fair that they get free counter spells? Particularly in a set that's designed for Commander. This was their chance to do something different, and they didn't. They really failed to deliver on that mark. It's just very boring as a collector watching cards get printed that do the same thing. However, it's a really good card. Pre-order that. Pre-order all of the cards mentioned on the show today. There's a lot of them that are really excellent value and will only go up. Magistrates are going up as I speak. Most of them have been sold out. But gang, is there anything that you loved from Ikoria thus far? I think it's been a pretty slow set so far as actual value pieces are concerned. I think the Commander Precon's packed some of the most heat so far as value is concerned, just per card quantity, with the number of cards printed / the value of those cards. Again, if you want to help support the channel, you can do so in either one of 3 ways via TCG Player by ordering those packs singles. Did Fierce Guardianship pique your interest? It should. It's a very good card. Don't get me wrong. Go ahead and pre-order it via TCG Player or Dismantling Wave. Which list are you planning to use that in? You can do so via Patreon. Gang, you guys who've been supporting me from the start, you all are the best. Of course, you're going to be hearing your names in just a moment. You can also help us through Anchor if you're listening to this right now via Spotify or Anchor. You can also support us over on Anchor. But as a special thanks to all the patrons up to date, I've got the list up this time. Brendan, there's 15 of you, but you, Brendan, I think are the only Brendan right now, so congratulations. Jared with 2 R's. My girlfriend's brother's name is Jared. 1 R, but it would have been better with 2. Javier, again, Scar. Mufasa, Scar. Every time. Love that thumbnail. Mace, thank you so much for your patronage. I appreciate you. Jordan, honestly, best thumbnail. Said it last time, saying it again. Leon, I don't know you, but I love you. Luke, God, I mispronounced your last name that first time, and no one's ever going to know what your last name is unless they're on Patreon. Kills me. Kills me. Mahoy Manoy, thank you for your patronage. Nathan, the Bum. Have you heard about this guy? Excellent fellow. Excellent individual. I love him to pieces. I'm going to name my firstborn Nathan, actually. Nick with a C up there. Oliver. I really like Oliver. I think Oliver's a good name. That's all I have to say about Oliver. Running Red. Running Red. Potentially one of the best today. You are potentially one of the best of these last 4 individuals. Sam, you're second up on the list of best individuals on the Patreon page. I looked up how to pronounce this, and I forgot how to pronounce this.
Shord.
It's almost like you're watching a TikTok, huh? Shord. There was a couple ways it has been pronounced online, but Shord, correct me if I'm wrong, you, potentially one of the best this go around as well. And the Holy Knight. I'm going to say your whole name this time. There's 4 of you in the running as the potential best patrons of the channel, and I'm expecting you to duke it out over on Discord. We're going to find out who's actually the best one of these days once I get you pitted together in a game of commandos. But until then, gang, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying Ikoria in Commander 2020. I'm very excited for the end of this year when we see all of what the year of Commander had to offer. I bet you we're going to see more free spells. I'm hoping to see a full cycle of oracles that say win the game for every other color. And beyond that, happy brewing, guys. Did I say guys? Happy brewing, babies.